and right as long as the day is long.
John,
because people cannot stand them, that they actually have the nerve to speak for conservative values.
Is that a local show? Is that hosted there in?
It is broadcast on WIBC. Also, though, WIBC in the afternoon carries the Dana Show. Dana Lash, staunch advocate of the Second Amendment, and people come after her. They have actually shown up at her house. She has had to call the FBI to investigate these people. She has had to move because of death threats. And these are coming from people who claim to be the party of, freedom and love and peace and tolerance. Are you kidding me?
Well, it's kind of, to me, I don't really look at, I'm sorry, and this may offend you, but as far as Republicans and Democrats go, I just look at them as two sides of the same coin. I'd rather
two sides of the same evil spectrum myself.
Yeah.
I fancy myself as a conservative. If I want to do something, let me try. If I fail, hey, that's my bad.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you know what? If I succeed, government, don't you dare come knocking on my door asking for a piece of my action.
I hear you.
John, thanks for the call tonight. I appreciate it. The toll-free number here, 855-450-FREE, like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. I mean, it's always easy for one side versus the other to find faults on the other side, right? Like, those are crystal clear. It's easy to see those faults. But to find faults on the same side of the coin is a little bit more difficult because there's something called cognitive dissonance.
Yep.
That is an ugly little thing that tends to spring up in most human beings.
I lived with it for 30, 40 years as a happy Republican. And not to say that I favor one over the other. It's just I at some point you get smacked in the head by reality and you sit here and go, they say one thing, but they don't really do it. And,
right. Look, you can look at the Republicans. They ran during the Bush administration for 6 years. They ran the whole thing.
Oh yeah,
right? They ran the whole thing. And I remember when we were on the air through the whole, basically most of Bush here on Free Talk Live. And I remember when one of them, I think it was Trent Lott. I'm not good with the names. I don't like remembering who these people are.
Yep.
But he said, or one of them like that, one of these hot dog, Republicans said at one point, "We've slashed the government to the bone." And I just thought that was so funny because, does anybody actually believe that?
No.
Because your taxes haven't gone down. The spending hasn't gone down. The size of government hasn't. What's he talking about?
I say no, but the answer is yes, people do believe that. People are, and I hear it every day, talking about what a great job Trump has been doing at, draining the swamp and
didn't I see a headline
cutting and slashing government?
Yeah, didn't I see a headline recently that they got record tax revenues this year?
Yeah,
at the federal government?
I believe so. Yeah.
So how does slashing the government results in record tax revenues? That doesn't seem to follow.
Well, the Republican story will be, this goes back to James Laffer and the Laffer curve back in the early 80s, again back to Reagan's term. Is that if you boost the economy to a certain level, there will be a level where taxes increase. So you don't have to raise taxes. Yeah. It just happens because GDP and everything like that is rising. The economy is rising, so you get this higher level of returns. The reality is you can tell yourself that all you want, but when we're forecasting a $20 trillion deficit by 2020, that's not economic sense. That's insanity. And Republicans, and this has to go back to the 70s and 80s until you can really find ones that believed it or acted like they believed it, really did believe that we could not do deficit spending. Deficit spending was such an abhorrent idea that nobody would even bring it up in polite society, in conversation. You just couldn't do it. And now it's just the way Washington operates.
Let's go to Bob. He's also listening to WIBC. Hello, Bob. You're on Free Talk Live.
I really appreciate it, you guys. I'll make it quick.
Yes, sir.
I want somebody to explain to me how we're going to pay off $20 trillion. How are we going to pay that off? And how did we get here? And I'm not trying to be a know-it-all, but the United States has been in debt since 1820. And it's gone up every year since 1820. And there's no end to it. And the women did not cause the wage problem. There was women working in factories and women and children working in factories in the late 1800s because of the capitalist pigs making money off their backs. Well, it's got nothing to do with the women's movement. It's got to do with the capitalist pigs that run this country and this world that want to pay the lowest wages they can and make the most profit they can off the backs of poor people and slaves.
All right, so there's a lot to unpack there.
Yeah.
In that statement. Should we start with the capitalist pigs comment, Chris, and then talk about the debt?
I'm fine with that. The part that got me was women and children working in factories, and I don't think it's government's role.
We're going to put you on hold there, Bob. It sounds like you got some feedback
some feedback going on. I don't think it's government's role to tell people if they can work and whether they should or not, and there were a number of cases that went against the government in the late 1800s, early 1900s on that subject.
All right, let's come back to the discussion here because capitalist pigs, I think, deserves a little bit more discussion. And then you can join us as well. Hour number 2 is on the way, 855-450 free. And we'll come back around to the question about the debt because that's another big question.
Sure.
I think a lot of people want to know about that. And you can bring up anything you want here on Free Talk Live, 855-450 free. Also Skype in, lrn.fm.
It's about time something new came along for better selling and buying online. And I found it.
What now, Marge?
It's buysellmakeoffer.com.
Never heard of it.
It's a brand new company. That's why you've never heard of it. It's the newest and best way to sell any products online. I did all the research.
Sell my car?
Yes.
Our home?
Yep.
My golf bag?
Your golf clubs. All of them.
How about your purse collection hoard?
Hey, now.
You said any product.
Right. I did. We get 30 days free.
Really?
Packages starting from only $9.95. And buysellmakeoffer.com will never charge item fees ever. Never. And this is cool. Listen to this. You can even use Skype or video to show your items.
That's cool.
Yes. All we have to do is go to the website, sign up, and then load our stuff to sell. I love this site.
Buysellmakeoffer.com.
Buysellmakeoffer.com. You got it?
Buysellmakeoffer.com.
Buysellmakeoffer.com. Better selling, better buying.
So you've signed the Shire Society Declaration and are planning your move to New Hampshire to be around more liberty-oriented people. Next, sign up for the Shire Society Forum at forum.shiresociety.com. There are a bunch of people there who are already in the Shire, and they want to meet you. If you're already in the Shire physically, you should also come by the forums. Remember, not everyone uses Facebook. New people are signing up for the Shire Society Forum every month, so drop in and say hello at forum.shiresociety.com. There are lots of ways to listen to Free Talk Live. Our podcast has been around since podcasts began, and now the FTL feed is loaded with content besides our full show archives. Did you know that we make it easy for you to customize your podcast subscriptions? We have different feeds, one that includes only our full shows, one with just the Daily Digest, and one with just the Edgington Post. You decide what you listen to. It's quick and easy to customize your feeds at feeds.freetalklive.com. That's feeds.freetalklive.com.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 2 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Daryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Saturday, May 19th, 2018. Silver is trading at $16.45 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,293 per ounce. Zen Cash is trading at $28, and the average price of Bitcoin is $8,242. Antiwar.com reports Yemen's ambassador to UNESCO, Ahmad al-Sayyad, has given an interview to Al Jazeera in which he accused Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates of having a hidden inclination to divide Yemen in the future. The comments come amid growing concerns from the Hadi government, which is theoretically backed by Saudi Arabia and to a lesser extent by the UAE. Officials have expressed growing concern about the UAE for seizing airports and seaports, as well as briefly taking over the island of Socotra. The UAE has downplayed these incidents, but has been openly backing secessionist groups in southern Yemen. They are also known to have ambitions to be a regional power, particularly in the Gulf of Aden, which would be helped by them securing some permanent bases in southern Yemen. Saudi Arabia, meanwhile, seems particularly interested in the defeat of the Shiite Houthi movement in northern Yemen and of ensuring that there is no Shiite presence along their disputed border with Yemen. Though the Saudis nominally support the Hadi government, it is mostly as a way of justifying intervention in Yemen, and they've also also felt totally comfortable keeping Hadi under a state of house arrest for months on end. Are you looking for a cryptocurrency that has a focus on users and usability? Then look into Zencash. Zencash has the ability to use both transparent and shielded transactions, with shielded transactions using zero-knowledge proofs. Zencash features global governance with inclusive decision-making, reliable funding for continuous improvements, and documentation and wallets in many languages that are available for Linux, Mac, Windows, and Android devices. Learn more at zencash.com. UPI reports in a blow to House Republican leadership, lawmakers defeated a $687 billion farm bill on Friday as some GOP conservatives sided with Democrats. The bill, supported by President Donald Trump and GOP congressional leaders, failed by a vote of 213 to 189. All Democrats voted against the bill, which included restricted requirements for recipients of food stamps under the Supplemental Nutrition Program. 30 conservative Republicans also voted the bill down, opposing the $70 billion cost of the SNAP program. The Conservative Freedom Caucus has also threatened to hold up a bill until security-oriented immigration issues are addressed. The food stamp program was added to the Farm Bill in the 1970s to persuade urban legislators to vote for a farming safety net, which is renegotiated and voted on every 5 years. House Freedom Caucus leader Mark Meadows said 76% of the Farm Bill has nothing to do with farms. When you look at it, 24% of it actually is about farming and supporting our farmers. For over 40 years, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has been a trusted source for buying and selling precious metals like gold and silver. And as a Bitcoin-preferred business, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has removed the minimum purchase amount for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts Brokerage today for knowledgeable advice on buying and selling precious metals and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 800-874-9760 or visit online at rrbi.co. Reuters reports Missouri legislators convened on Friday to weigh the possible impeachment of Governor Eric Greitens, who had been embroiled in separate sex and fundraising scandals that have led to mounting pressure for his resignation. The Republican-controlled Missouri General Assembly began a special session in Jefferson City, Missouri, the state capital, to consider what disciplinary steps to take against the first-term Republican governor, including impeachment, after hearing the recommendations of a special House of Representatives investigative panel. Greitens had vowed to remain in office while he fights to clear his name. No Missouri governor has ever been impeached. Greitens, once seen as a rising star in the Republican Party, was previously charged with felony invasion of privacy in connection with an admitted extramarital affair in 2015 with a hairdresser before he was elected. He says he is innocent. The relationship was consensual and that he is the subject of a political witch hunt. On Monday, however, St. Louis prosecutors dropped the charge before his trial got underway after a state judge agreed to allow the defense to call as a witness Circuit Attorney for the city of St. Louis, Kim Gardner, a Democrat whom defense attorneys accused of misconduct. Prosecutors said they would refile the case. Meanwhile, the governor faces a separate trial on an unrelated charge of computer tampering. St. Louis prosecutors allege he obtained and transmitted a donor list from a military veterans charity he founded in 2007 without the charity's consent to aid his political fundraising. An attorney for Greitens called the charge absurd and said his client is innocent. This has been FPP Radio News, online at fppradio.com.
Shoppers at a Hannaford supermarket could only speculate that the middle-aged woman angrily demanding a price check on a pack of rice pudding was once a carefree youth.
I don't care what it says on your screen. You know, this is why people go to the store across the street, because of the way they're treated here. You know, nobody likes it here.
Those watching the woman angrily asking for a manager over a $1.20 price difference imagined that the woman was once a fresh-faced college graduate, too spirited and fun-loving to throw a bitter tantrum in front of a room of complete strangers.
She was probably once just some freewheeling college kid, you know? Her biggest concern was which one of her friends she was going to hang out with at night and whether they were going to meet at the movies or a bonfire on the beach. Now look at her. You know, I'll bet if you'd have told her 10 or 15 years ago that one day she'd be ripping into a grocery store clerk with a room full of strangers staring at her, she'd have been horrified. It's sad.
In other news, a few years in the military would have really straightened out a troubled teen killed in Afghanistan, and a man on the verge of self-realization instead turns to God.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
It is Free Talk Live. You can join us here. The toll-free number for you is 855-450. Free like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. The Skype username is LRN.FM. And here in the studio tonight, it's Ian.
And Chris.
Don't forget, you can also join us via the Discord on-air call-in line room. Just hop on over to discord.lrn.fm. It is the top room on the list of chat rooms there where you can normally chat with other Free Talk Live listeners during, before, and after the show. And some of the hosts of the show also hang out in those chat rooms, including Chris and I. So head on over to discord.lrn.fm and enjoy that. As we continue here, before we go back to your calls, because the gentleman who called at the very end of the last hour, he dropped off the line. He was fired up. He was mad about capitalist pigs profiting off the backs of the poor. He cited women and children. He had called to rebut the claim that women were joining the workforce in the 1960s or 70s by pointing out that they were working in factories in the 1800s along with children. And that may indeed be true, but then he went off on capitalist pigs, this and that. Right. And I thought that deserved a little bit more commentary before we do go on, because I wanted to fully address that. Sure. I don't like the word capitalism because I think it has a lot of negative connotations around it. I don't think there's anything wrong with people operating in a free marketplace and offering jobs to people who voluntarily decide to take those jobs, because they could do something else. Mm-hmm. You don't ever have to take a job unless, of course, you're in the government prisons, and then they threaten you with something like, segregation if you don't work for them. So in most cases, outside of a government prison, a job is a voluntary choice.
Right.
And so in a lot of cases, factory work can and certainly was dangerous. People were getting arms caught in gears and things like that.
But so was working on a farm. And during that entire period, more people worked on farms than they did in factories, and a lot more kids worked on farms, and kids are still allowed to work on farms.
That's true.
Yeah, so it's sort of a false narrative, and I'll take a little issue with you, Ian.
Yeah, please.
I don't despise the word capitalism. I think it's an accurate description of a voluntary system, like you say. Mm-hmm. The problem is that it's been so corrupted and through crony capitalism. Yeah. And when governments and companies start to get a little bit too close and do favors for one another, then we get the morass that we're in now, and it's wrong, and it doesn't do the word justice. So.
Right, that's where you get the robber barons who are taking advantage of people because they have connections with government, and government is protecting them in the same way that government protects mega corporations today. That in the same way that the mega corporations that everybody thinks are so evil, a lot of them are the ones writing the very regulations that they then have the government enforce upon them. And why would they do that? Well, because they want to keep the little guy out.
Absolutely.
They want to keep mom and pop businesses from becoming competitive, and these regulations are usually written to burden those people, those smaller competitors, with an undue amount of paperwork or bookkeeping or, obedience and all that.
To raise the bar of entry. And that's what they're able to do. They can make it so difficult and so expensive to get into a particular industry that they're the only ones left.
Right, because a lot of people working at a place where, let's say, the conditions are less than ideal, some of them, they know their business. They've been working there for a long time. They know that industry. They could go out and start their own competitor if they wanted to. If they had if they had a little bit of funding, they could do that. If they wanted to start it from scratch, they might be able to, depending on what the industry is. But in most cases today, the government's going to come in there and say, and they're gonna bring men with guns in. If you don't get the right permits, which is just a bribe, by the way, that's just paying bribes to bureaucrats. If you don't get their permits, if you don't ask their permission, if you don't pay their fees, you don't get to work. You don't get to create a business, which could then hire people and provide a better working environment through competition.
So let's spitball a couple examples of that. One thing that people are always complaining about is the skyrocketing price of prescription drugs. Ian, why don't we go out and start a prescription drug company?
Good luck getting the billions of dollars you'll need to get the prescription through the FDA's process.
Oh, you're right. That's probably shooting a little bit too high, but people do complain about the high costs of health care, so maybe we'll just start small and we'll open a hospital.
Yeah, there's going to be all kinds of regulations involved in that too.
All right, I'm going to go down. How about a medical school, or maybe just a college?
You can't even open a restaurant without having to pay off bureaucrats, and they act like. I actually had a story tonight, and we're not going to get into it right now because your calls are waiting. But another natural locavore place that sold raw milk in Wisconsin, Minnesota, I apologize, has been raided by the police within the last few weeks. I've got the story about that, and this is just another perfect example of people who are voluntarily coming together to share or purchase or buy or whatever, as a co-op, and connect directly to a farmer and that kind of thing. It's illegal in some states to do that, so they sent men with guns in to lock down somebody's business that all adults were voluntarily coming into and acting like this is some kind of a threat, acting like the fact that this business exists that sells raw milk and other raw foods is some kind of a threat to people, and it's insane.
It is insane, and it's such a violation of, for those of you who cling to the Constitution, cling to the ideas of our founding fathers, which really did, at least in their words, espoused a real true idea of liberty and freedom. You're nowhere near, and we're not even pretending to be like that. People spout off and say, freest country in the world, which we're not, not by any measure, but it's just a disgrace.
The other comment was on the debt. The question at the beginning of the call was, well, how are you going to, how is it going to get paid off? The debt, the U.S. government's debt. Look, they don't intend to pay that off. They couldn't pay it off. The whole thing is designed to continue to increase. They owe all this money to the Federal Reserve, which of course is the last buyer of last resort of all the federal bonds and things like that. And the interest that's being paid is barely getting paid at all. It's not really. I mean, ultimately, they just keep on adding it in. The income tax receipts, a lot of that goes to pay off, from what I understand, the interest on those Federal Reserve loans to the federal government.
Which goes to Wall Street.
So you loan
and the Chinese and the Japanese.
Right. Basically, they're loaning the federal government money that they then spend on things at an interest rate that, if you could try to pay it off, would result in them having to have more money than exists to pay off the loans that are outstanding. So it's just designed to not be paid off. And further, it's not my debt. I didn't consent to it. I did not ask for it. I don't owe it, and you don't owe it.
What about that social contract you signed a while back?
I didn't sign it.
Did not sign one?
And neither did you,
no,
I suspect. Let's go to your calls and thoughts here. We're starting with Cerise in Salina, Texas. Cerise, you're on Free Talk Live.
Hey, guys.
Hey.
I have spoken to you before.
Welcome. Or welcome back.
I'm going to get off speaker.
Yeah, that's always a great idea.
I get off work and I listen to you,
Thank you.
Then I have to stop and stay in my car.
Oh, we appreciate that.
This goes back, oh, yeah, totally. This goes back a ways. I'm sorry. There was a gentleman that called and was saying, you had a bunch of callers there from what, WBIC?
WIBC. It's a monster FM talk station in Indianapolis. Go ahead.
Cool, yes. And he was talking about a local show there where someone was on the right and someone was on the left, and the person on the right, had death threats and people were awful to her and all that stuff. I'm certain that happened. I am not in any way famous, but here in Salina, Kansas, I was on the left on a radio talk show on a different station, and I got the same thing. I mean, I didn't get death threats, right? And I was younger then, and I was so sensitive about it. Now I just understand that people are threatened by different ideas, and anger seems to be the quickest way to get it out. And it's both sides of the aisle.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I do.
And the reason why people get so angry is because the government is a threat, right? The government is force.
Well,
the government is violence, and it's a tool of violence that when one group gets in control of that tool, they use it against the other group. And so the one side knows that if they lose control of the violent tool, the other side's going to enforce things against them. And so everybody feels like this is a life and death situation, and they act in that way.
We feel frightened because, at least for me, I should say, it feels also inaccessible.
No doubt about it.
It feels like, how can I reach in there and actually tell these people what the world is really like out here?
Great call, Cerise. Thanks for making it.
Appreciate
it.
Seems happier. Her fur is so much shinier, silkier, softer. She has really mellowed a lot.
Sheba is 105 lean pounds of shiny, smooth, happy dog for life.
The shedding has stopped. The itching has stopped.
Since 2001, we've helped more than 250,000 dogs get over their nutritional deficiency miseries.
And saved our customers bazillions in vet bills.
Everything we tried
A little
failed
bit.
except the Dynovite.
Come to Dynovite for help.
DINOVITE.com.
If
you want the dog to be healthy, you got to feed it something healthy.
The omega-3 fatty acids,
Flaxseed, zinc, alfalfa,
the digestive enzymes that are cooked out of regular dog food.
Dynovite is nutrition.
Dynovite for life.
Don't let your dog itch, scratch, stink, or shed like crazy.
Come to Dynovite for help.
859-428-1000.
859-428-1000.
DINOVITE.com.
Imagine this is you. You're working late when you get an alert on your smartphone. Your motion-activated Blink security camera picked up something at home. You pop open the Blink app and see the silhouette of a man peering through your kitchen window. You dial 911 and the police roll. The job of a home security system is to help stop crime, which is why I chose Blink. Get 3 Blink cams for way less than the other guys, plus an extra 15% off. Visit blinkprotect.com/FTL. blinkprotect.com/FTL. Good technology is good, but the philosophy behind the tech is important. And Zencash was made by voluntarists with the ideas of voluntary interaction being embedded into the white paper. With no central authority or single point of failure, Zencash is more resilient than a traditional corporation. Everyone has an equal opportunity to participate in decision-making, which empowers stakeholders and makes Zencash less susceptible to third-party influence. And Zencash allows for secure private transactions. Learn more at zencash.com.
The Free State Project has reached its goal of 20,000 liberty lovers who've pledged to move to New Hampshire and get active to achieve liberty in our lifetime. Perhaps you're trying to figure out what part of New Hampshire should be your destination. If so, consider Keene. You'll find more than 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com. Keene is famous for its historic, publicity-generating activism, as well as being the liberty media capital of the world. It's home to freekeene.com, New Hampshire's destination for liberty activism, news, and opinion. For years, we've been compiling over 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com, where you'll learn about some of what's happening here and what makes Keene a great place to live. If you love liberty, you'll probably enjoy anywhere you end up in the Shire. But do your due diligence first. Please visit move.freekeene.com for the full list of over 150 reasons to move to Keene. That's move.freekeene.com. LRN.FM now has a Discord. Discord is a free text and voice chat platform, and we now have our own server with a bunch of channels at discord.lrn.fm. You can join other listeners as they chat about various things during our live shows, or anytime, day or night. Discord software is available cross-platform, so you can have it on whatever device you want and take your chats anywhere. Join our Discord at discord.lrn.fm. That's discord.lrn.fm. The new 4th edition of Healing Our World, The Compassion of Libertarianism, will take your understanding of liberty to a deeper level and has over 1,300 updated references, new cartoons, and a foreword by Dr. Ron Paul. With discounts for multiple book purchases, the 4th edition of Healing Our World is a great gift for the liberals, pragmatists, environmentalists, and Christians in your life who think libertarianism is cold-hearted. Get yours today at healing.freetalklive.com and use promo code FTL for a $5 discount.
If you enjoy LRN.FM, please contribute to your favorite shows via their websites and become an amplifier at amp.lrn.fm. That's amp.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live, and you, of course, can take control of the airwaves. That's what we do here. It's open phones every single night. With you tonight, by the way, it's Ian.
And Chris.
And don't forget, you can join us online. Head on over to freetalklive.com. Got a lot of great features available to you there. They are all for free. Another great site where it's free to use, liberty.menu. Are you an individual who rejects the initiation of force and agrees to abide by the ethics of the non-aggression principle? Then you belong over at liberty.menu, especially if you are a business owner who would like to get your business out and known by other liberty-minded folks. So libertarians, voluntarists, liberty-loving anarchists, these are the types of people who are welcome there at liberty.menu. If you've got something that you're doing entrepreneurial, You can list your entrepreneurial activity, your physical location business, your online business. List it there. It shows up on a map. Other people in your area who also care about freedom, maybe they didn't know about you. Now they do if you're listed over at liberty.menu. So it's a place to go if you're a customer. It's a place to go if you're a business owner. It's also a place to go if you're an events coordinator. Maybe you've got an event coming up like Forkfest that we'll tell you about coming up here in a little bit that is on the way. You want other libertarians to know about that. Or perhaps you're a digital content creator. You can list those things there too. And it's free to do the listings. So there's really no reason not to do this if you care about freedom, that is. Go to liberty.menu and check it out. It's super easy to use. Nice looking site. Liberty.menu. I'm glad we're able to team up with them to help promote this because libertarians for a long time have been asking for a good Liberty Business Directory. There have been some attempts at this in the past, and they've never really caught fire. Check out liberty.menu. And if you want, you can use code FTL and get a special Free Talk Live listener badge over there on your profile at liberty.menu. As we continue here with your calls and thoughts, Michael in Virginia, you're on Free Talk Live. Hello, Michael. Listening to WNIS.
Hello from Virginia Beach.
Hello there.
Great discussion. I'd like to add an important point. Antitrust legislation. It's on the book, but it's not being used with reference to talk radio. Now,
what would you like to see happen?
Well, present company excluded. Here's the situation. America's most listened to talk show host has about 20 million listeners a week. 20 million regular listeners.
You talking about Rush Limbaugh?
That's right. That's right.
Okay.
Now, you add to him the big five, so to speak. They all meet together in Florida every year. They coordinate. They go on each other's shows.
Okay.
They screen out callers who have a different point of view. Which
Who is it that's meeting in Florida?
Pardon me?
You said there's 5 hosts. They meet in Florida. You're saying talk show hosts? They have like a secret cabal?
Yeah, they meet there every December. All these right-wing, foreign power-connected talk show hosts. Here's the strange thing about it. They're just like Donald Trump in one way. They're always talking about America first, but they're hooked up behind someone who runs Fox News, who wasn't born in this country, who's as anti-American as they come, and like Donald Trump, who talks about America first, except when it comes to his own wives and concubines.
So I gotta ask, are you calling for like a return of the fairness doctrine or something like that?
Well, I'm going to let you guys figure out how to do this because I think your minds are a lot quicker.
Well, I mean, I'm not interested in government action on anything.
Yeah,
so
I'm good.
If you want to see more voices besides Republicans on the air, then the market needs to support that. Now, I will give you one thing here, Michael, and thank you for the call tonight. I appreciate it. One aspect is the government has regulated. Here we are, back to regulations, protecting the existing businesses, protecting the big businesses, right? So this is exact same story here. Right. And it plays out in the radio business where the FCC, the Federal Communications Commission, purportedly was created to police the airwaves, to make sure that people weren't stepping on one another with their transmitters and things like that, which on its surface, seems like a valid thing to do.
Why not?
Of course, then they went from there into regulating the things you can say on the airwaves and brought out the fairness doctrine, which you referred to, which required radio shows to offer equal time to people and so on and so forth. That's over now, but ultimately that it really doesn't matter because the marketplace is highly restricted in radio. If you want to start a radio station, sorry, you can't.
Yeah, that's the long and the short of it, and
that's not an exaggeration either. You can't even apply for a radio, even if you have the money,
right?
Even if you have the engineers, the lawyers, all of the paperwork, everything that you would need if you could afford it, because most people can't, because it's super expensive to do all those things. But even if you could afford to jump through the hoops, sorry, that first hoop isn't even available most of the time. They don't even have what they call a filing window available. If you were to go right now to the FCC and say, I've got all my stuff together, I'd like a radio station, they'd say, oh, we're sorry, that filing window's not open. Well, when's it going to be open? Well, we'll let you know.
And this is an industry that was started by hobbyists. You know what I mean? When radio started, it was geeks, guys, nerds that just built their own equipment and they set up towers and that's how
Didn't ask permission.
No, they weren't asking anybody permission, and they just did it, and they worked out problems between themselves because sometimes frequencies would step on others, and they just work it out.
Because guess what? You don't really want to step on somebody else's frequency because nobody's going to be able to hear either station, basically.
Exactly. It's in nobody's interest to do that. But, and then you started to get this sort of conglomeration of stations that would get together, and then you have RCA coming out of that, and you have NBC coming out of that. And once those guys got organized, then they went, where do you go?
We need rules.
We go to Washington, and we talk about how important this industry is and how much damage could be done if it continues on unregulated. And we're going to let you, we're volunteering. We're such good people. We're asking for this regulation. We'll just help you write it.
And because there's not regulations enough, according to some of these people, there's now what they call the Pirate Act that has been filed in Congress this year.
Oh, really?
That is going to, I read about it in an industry publication because, we're in talk radio, and so I read these things. The Pirate Act. And I forget what it stands for because I don't have it in front of me. We weren't planning to talk about this. But, it's one of those acronyms. It's ridiculous.
Protecting Intellectual Rights Against Theft and Expropriation Act.
Intellectual rights.
Yeah.
And by that they mean we're going to go after independent broadcasters who have decided they just want to put a signal on the air because they want to serve their community better with the type of music or talk radio that they want to listen to, and we're going to fine them and possibly put them in prison. Because right now there are fines for running a pirate radio station.
Sure.
But there's not really a prison sentence at the federal level. There are a couple of states, New York and Florida, I believe, are the two, that have actually criminalized the operation of a broadcast, FM broadcast transmitter without a government permission slip. This would essentially take those laws and make them nationwide.
Unreal.
So the government really doesn't want people to be able to broadcast without their permission, which of course is a clear violation of freedom of speech, in my opinion. But, good luck challenging them. The toll-free number here is 855-450-FREE like freedom, 855-450-3733. But that doesn't explain why there aren't more different voices on the air. We'll talk about that.
This is Fred.
Hi, I'm Fred.
Fred's a repeater.
I tend to repeat.
Fred has a business.
I do have a business.
And a problem. Fred repeats the same tired advertising over and over, and now it doesn't work.
Over and over.
But Fred is about to see a vision.
I'm seeing a vision.
Advertising on the Genesis Communications Network is the smart way for Fred to reach his potential customers with the most affordable national advertising rates, period. Get started today with GCN, the Genesis Communications Network. Just email advertise@gcnlive.com.
Hunters, anglers, campers, and survivalists. Get back to nature. Expand your horizons with the highest quality, most versatile, unique slingshots and sling bows on the market at slingbow.com. Slingbow products are compact and models start from just $17.98. They're perfect for your bug-out bag or storing in your vehicle. Give yourself and your loved ones the excitement and tradition of Slingbow, a new frontier in archery and truly modern twist on this primitive survival tool. Feel the thrill only at slingbow.com.
This is Michael Dean from the Freedom Fiends. I've run websites since 1996 and have used over a dozen web hosts in that time. AgristHosting.com is the only one that hasn't broken my heart. Agrist Hosting's uptime and service is stellar, and their DDoS mitigation is the best I've seen. That's important because if you tell the truth in this world, you'll ruffle feathers. And some people will try dirty tricks to silence your voice. No matter what the haters hit us with, Agrist Hosting keeps our websites online. If you have a mission-critical commercial presence or a world-changing activism site, You cannot tolerate any skullduggery. So go with agrishosting.com. Have a WordPress or blog site, but you're not satisfied with performance or uptime? Or just want raw hosting? Want to pay with Bitcoin? Agris Hosting specializes in high-performance hosting with personalized service. Go to agrishosting.com and click on the button that says Get Hosted. That's agrishosting.com.
Cell 411 is a free app for Android and iOS that replaces government-controlled 911. Cell 411 allows you to preset a group of friends or private organizations to show up at any emergency. Cell 411 is a nightmare for the state because it proves their so-called services aren't needed. Cell 411 has had thousands of installs, and of course it's covered by the BIPCOT no government license. Cell 411 because your friends won't shoot you when you're in trouble. Without the government, who would build the emergency services? You and Cell 411. Get it today at getcell411.com.
The three most important things you can do for Free Talk Live are: 1, share one episode a week on Facebook or in some other social networking site. 2, buy the things you buy online through shop.freetalklive.com. 3, give $5 a month to the AMP program. It's my firm belief that Free Talk Live's AMP program is the best use of your charitable dollar among liberty-oriented organizations. Support all the organizations you love, but make sure you give $5 a month to AMP at amp.freetalklive.com.
Is spreading the message of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace around the globe worth $2 per month to you? As you may already know, in addition to our internet feed, LRN.FM broadcasts on free-to-air satellite across North and Central America, as well as Sub-Saharan Africa. And we've been available on satellite for free 24/7 since 2010. The LRN.FM free-to-air satellite signal is reaching some of the most oppressive regimes in the world, and there's no doubt our ideas are making an impact. You can learn more about the channel's impact by watching the 3-minute video at fund.lrn.fm. If you'd like to help free minds globally with our ideas of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace, you can donate as little as $2 per month via fund.lrn.fm. You can help us continue and expand our satellite broadcast to multiple continents. Visit fund.lrn.fm today, and thank you for your help. Don't forget to share the link on social media. That's fund.lrn.fm.
Join the LRN.FM Discord for live chat 24/7 at discord.lrn.fm. That's discord.lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live. Dial on in here, toll free. Bring up what you want. Our number here is 855-450, free like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. Joining you in the studio tonight, it's Ian.
And Chris.
Also want to make sure that you're aware about the Blink Home security system. We've got one of them installed here at the LRN studios. And I know Mark Edge, who's our normal Saturday night co-host, is loving his at his household. It's a very affordable wireless security system. Wireless is really nice to have because I've been involved in security system installs before, and it's such a pain in the butt. I hire people to do that crap.
Not fun.
I am not interested in drilling holes, running wires through walls. It's just not something I enjoy doing. But I also don't enjoy paying other people to do that kind of stuff. So why not just go wireless? And that's what they're doing with the Blink Home security system. You can get yours over at blinkprotect.com/FTL. It comes with the batteries that you need. They're just normal, I think, AA batteries. And you pop the batteries in the cams. You just put the cams wherever you want to put them around your house, or maybe you've got a small office. It'd be perfect for that too. Put them wherever you want. They are all configured wirelessly via your tablet or smartphone on your Wi-Fi network. And there's a little hub that comes with it. You got to plug that into the wall, but that's the only wire that exists in the entire system. And then you set up when you want these cameras to be, operating, and whenever something moves in front of them, they will send you a clip of what it was that was happening there. You could, of course, monitor them live as well if you wish from your smart device. Go to blinkprotect.com/FTL. You'll get an extra 15% off the already shockingly affordable Blink Home Protection or Home Security System. blinkprotect.com/FTL, like Free Talk Live. Before we get back into your calls here, I wanted to finish kind of answering the last caller's question about talk radio in general, and the lack of diversity or the perceived lack of diversity of voices behind microphones in talk radio. And I agree. As somebody who's been involved in talk radio my entire life, basically, my entire adult life, I was a listener when I was a teenager in Florida and, grew up on 970 WFLA down there, which is a, great talk radio station with a lot of great hosts. And, in fact, we were on it for some period of years on Free Talk Live before they bumped us for somebody who was paying them for airtime, some realtor or something like that, as it tends to happen in the business these days. If you ain't paying, it's hard to get in there. But yeah, there's mostly conservatives or self-described, self-professed conservatives that make up the bulk of not just the syndicated talk show hosts, but also the local talk show hosts. And so what I was going off on before is how the government has a high level of regulation with the FCC, which restricts the marketplace, which means that an individual cannot just start up their own radio station. It's near to impossible to actually do that. If you've got a bunch of money, you can't even apply for one, so the best bet is to buy an existing station that might be for sale. If you're going to get into radio, that's the best way to do it, is to buy a station that happens to go up for sale. What's that? No one's selling in your area? Sorry.
Right. That's it.
So that's one reason why you don't hear a diverse set of voices, but still that's no excuse, right? Because there still are radio stations, so why don't we hear more, let's say, liberal types on the air? Well, let me take you back a few years, a little history lesson. There was this thing called Air America that was tried, a decade ago or something like that, somewhere in the mid-aughts.
Yeah,
was
a
when
little longer.
That happened. Yeah, maybe
I remember, but I remember
13 years, something like that. But the idea was, let's get liberals on the air. They should have liberal radio stations. They should, be able to make this work, right? Because there's liberals in America. They should listen to this. They should support it with their, ad dollars or whatever. And it didn't work out.
And they got a lot of top-name talent, if you want to call it that.
Yep.
People that weren't necessarily radio people, but they were well known. Was Al Gore on that?
I don't think he was. No.
I could be wrong.
One of the Kennedys had a show. And then like Al Sharpton and some others. But regardless, it's not to say they had bad personalities. They probably had some talented talk show hosts. Maybe there was some, not so talented ones. But either way, the issue seems like the market just wasn't supporting it.
Yeah.
Now people will say, oh, well, it's because they had the worst radio stations in the market. Air America was a startup. They were maybe buying the airtime, or I'm not sure exactly what was going on behind the scenes and how they were getting placement on stations. But one of the excuses was, they had what they call a rim shot station in the business, which means a station that's not really in the market, sort of on the outer edge of the market, so some of the market can hear the station, but not the whole market. And I'll agree with them. That's a concern. It's definitely an issue. But those stations existed before Air America and presumably at some point made money doing what they did. So why didn't they work out? Because some of the stations weren't rim shots. They were like WXXM for a long time in Madison, Wisconsin. Madison, leftist, very firm leftist market in Wisconsin. Why couldn't that station work? Well, we were on that station, by the way. Just to be clear, for anybody who's unfamiliar, this is a libertarian talk show. We're very pro-liberty on this show. We're not conservatives. We're not liberals. And this show has appeared and continues to appear on radio stations that are both liberal and conservative. The progressive talk stations, and there still are some that exist in the United States, most of them carry Free Talk Live. So we have an experience at being on these stations. In fact, there's a new set of stations, WRRD, is now doing progressive talk in the Madison area.
Interesting.
But they're more of a kind of a rim shotter into Madison than this other station was, which was an actual Madison FM talk radio station run by Clear Channel. And when Clear Channel had come in after however many years it was on the air and said, we're going to change the format. We're going back to music on this talk station. The listeners, to their credit, actually came out and held a protest in the radio station parking lot and successfully convinced Clear Channel to not change the format of that station.
Sweet.
At that time. Later on, a few years later, they did end up changing the format, and that station is now gone. But ultimately, listeners protesting in the parking lot, that's cool, but it doesn't pay the bills.
Yeah.
If you can't get the businesses in the area to back the product, which is Talk radio, in this case, is what we're talking about here. And it's a challenge for the conservative talk stations to get, because, again, conservative talk can be controversial just like liberal talk or whatever. So if you don't have the backing of the advertisers, you don't have a radio station unless you can somehow self-fund, unless you're super wealthy or whatever. And so ultimately the progressive talk sort of blast, it was there for a while, has petered out into basically very, very little. There's very few progressive talk stations left, but the ones that are there are still there. There are still some progressive talk show hosts like Tom Hartman and Stephanie Miller who are still out there, and they're still, cranking away and doing shows and presumably making money at it. So there's money to be made in that world. Yeah. It's just whoever's been doing it so far, they haven't had the success that the righties have for whatever reason.
So talking about shows listening to growing up, I always listen to KGOAM 810 out of San Francisco. Even though
Weren't you in Oregon?
Yeah.
It was that big of a
It was
signal.
that big of a station, that big of a signal. But at night, it was always KGO, and that was always progressive.
Was it? Okay.
Yeah. I would characterize it as progressive liberal. I mean, it's San Francisco.
Today.
Yeah. But if the marketplace truly were there, and it's not just radio, the progressive liberal shows and stations and news programs. I mean, Fox News pretty much decimates everybody all the time. And all that means is that more money seems to be flowing to advertisers than it is through a CNN or an MSNBC. I mean, that's when this is a business like any other business. And where the money flows, that's what people are going to get.
Well, let me say this. As a liberty-minded talk show host who wanted to bring a show to the air because I was tired of hearing the same old crap on talk radio, and I had a lot of the similar critiques as our caller earlier, in that these talk show hosts will screen out anybody with an opposing viewpoint. They just want to hear from the choir.
Right.
That was frustrating to me as a listener. I wanted to hear the conflict. I wanted to hear the different ideas. I wanted to hear that, and I wasn't hearing it on most shows. And so it's one of the reasons why I formed Free Talk Live, was so we could have open phones every night, which they say is a bad idea in talk radio, but I, break those rules regularly here. So we're going to go back to those phone calls and your thoughts coming up here. Our number is 855-450 free like freedom. But honestly, if we didn't have the support of our listeners, I don't think, and if we didn't have a great network backing us, we wouldn't have been able to make it if we'd been a Clear Channel show this whole time. They would have canceled us years ago.
Oh, yeah.
There's more coming up here. This is Free Talk Live.
Does your dog itch, scratch, stink, or shed like crazy? Come to Dynavite for help.
Order a 90-day supply of Dynavite.
Dynavite for life.
Pick up 2 tubes of Doggo Suds.
Get the 3rd tube free.
Peppermint, tea tree, lavender, Doggo Sud shampoo.
Made with all-natural coconut, jojoba, aloe. Great for healthy skin and soft, shiny coats.
But no itchy, harsh chemicals.
Lather up, rinse away.
Try Doggo Suds. Buy 2, get 1 free.
At Dynavite.com.
DINOVITE.com.
Cryptocurrencies are successful because of good technology. The liberty-loving voluntarists who founded Zencash in 2017 took the best tech, like zero-knowledge anonymity and decentralized autonomous organizations, and are creating a secure platform for money, messages, and media that can be sent to anyone, anywhere in the world. Zencash is a cryptocurrency dedicated to peace, anonymity, and decentralization. Find out more at zencash.com. That's zencash.com.
This is Fred.
Hi, I'm Fred.
Fred's a repeater.
I tend to repeat.
Fred has a business.
I do have a business.
And a problem. Fred repeats the same tired advertising over and over, and now it doesn't work.
Over and over.
But Fred is about to see a vision.
I'm seeing a vision.
Advertising on the Genesis Communications Network is the smart way for Fred to reach his potential customers with the most affordable national advertising rates, period. Get started today with GCN, the Genesis Communications Network. Just email advertise@gcnlive.com.
It's a no-brainer. A Big Berkey water filter is the one you need, period. You need a water filter that removes chlorine, fluoride, pharmaceuticals, BPA, and other endocrine disruptors, pesticides, bacteria, viruses, and much more, right? And does it all at only 2 cents per gallon. Get the original and most trusted name in gravity water filtration, Big Berkey. And now GCN listeners receive 5% off ceramic filter systems using code GCN. Call or click 1-877-99-BERKEY or BigBerkeyWaterFilters.com. That's 1-877-99-BERKEY.
Like most married couples, Dale and Barbara Patterson like to shake things up from time to time. The couple of 12 years says they've been able to keep their relationship spontaneous and interesting by bickering in all sorts of different positions and even different rooms.
There was a while there when our petty nitpicking got pretty predictable. Dale would finish harping on some stupid bullshit first, and before I had time to get a word in, he would just let out a groan, roll over, and fall asleep. Now he really takes his time ripping me a new one over every little thing.
Maybe we'll just pounce on each other the second we get home from work in the evening. And then just go right back at it in the morning. I mean, sometimes we'll look at each other directly in the eyes when we're having an argument. Other times she turns her back on me and I just scream at her from behind.
We're not exactly shy about doing it in public anymore. Dale gets pretty worked up when there are people around who could be watching or listening.
I still can't believe you forgot.
Not now.
Oh, come on.
I said not now.
Oh,
what?
Don't even.
Don't even what? I asked.
This is the Onion News Network.
Did you know you can watch Free Talk Live during our live shows 7 days a week from 7 to 10 p.m. Eastern via our studio cams at cam.freetalklive.com? Plus, you can chat with other listeners while you watch, all totally free. Now that our live video stream is hosted by YouTube, our video archives will be online even faster. So be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Listen, watch, and chat all free at cam.freetalklive.com. That's cam.freetalklive.com.
We've all heard about blockchain assets like Dogecoin, Ether, and Ripple. Bitcoin isn't the only player in the blockchain game any longer. And for those of us wondering how to get our hands on these digital assets, finally, there's a solution. Shapeshift.io allows you to buy and sell between your digital assets and Bitcoin instantly between your own digital wallets. I've used it with ease. Shapeshift.io. There's no account or email address needed. You send them the crypto you want to sell. They send back the crypto you want to buy. It's that easy. Shapeshift.io.
You're listening to the best liberty-oriented audio streamed around the clock, on the air, and online. This is the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
This is Free Talk Live. You're invited to join us on the radio waves here. 855, 450, free like freedom. One of the few shows that actually crosses over between both conservative and progressive talk stations. There aren't very many shows that can do that besides, like, you know, the computer talk shows or things like that.
Kim Commando.
Yeah, that stuff. So we're here for you. Open phones, as always. It's Ian and Chris in the studio tonight. By the way, I want to invite you to our website over at freetalklive.com. There's a forum there. And per request, I don't know, I didn't think of it. It was actually one of our forum participants, I think Oz, AAHZ, thought of this. Hey, why don't you post your show prep on the forum? Great idea. So I started that this week. So if you want to hear, or if you want to go and get a link to a story that you hear me talking about, then I'm going to be posting that in the threads that are created by one of our listeners and actually one of our amplifiers, Jonathan Dunker, who is one of the migrants here, the freedom migrants to New Hampshire. He takes the time every week to create a new weekly show notes thread. So he puts all the show kind of like what we talk about, links to the shows in there.
Nice.
And so I figured that'd be a good place to post the show prep links as well. So I'm just adding to those threads. And you can join the forum. You can chat with other Free Talk Live listeners and some of the hosts there at forum.freetalklive.com. It's part of the Shire Society forums, which is a much larger set of forums that covers a lot of sort of New Hampshire freedom-related stuff, including there's a forum for Forkfest there. But if you want to connect with other Free Talk Live listeners, that's one of the ways to do it. Go to forum.freetalklive.com to do that. As we go to your calls and your thoughts, it's Sam listening to WIBC-FM. Hello, Sam.
Hey, how are you doing, sir?
You're great. Go ahead with your thoughts, Sam.
I was just going to talk about a little bit about the shootings that are happening so often. More recently, the one in Texas. I just feel like people are making this a bipartisan issue when really we should all get together and, you know, see what we can do and see why this is happening so frequently, you know?
I'm good with doing that.
Yeah, what do you think?
Say that again?
Yeah, what are your opinions, Sam? Why is it happening, and what can be done?
Right.
Well, my opinions is like anytime anybody comes to the table to resolve the issue or the problem, they just make it like you're just a liberal or you're just a conservative issue. If we actually come to the table and try to, actually solve the problem about what's actually happening, I think we can come to a better solution,
I could not agree with you more, and I'm pretty much a hardcore gun rights guy. I mean, I'm if it's out there, I will be attending it. But a couple of the things that have always bothered me, and this goes back to Columbine, is the number of shooters that appear to be on some sort of mind-altering drug, the SSRIs, the serotonin leveling drugs. So things like, it's Prozac, it's I can't remember some of the other names, but
yeah, I know what you're talking about, though.
You see these statistics where it's like 60, 70, 80% sometimes of these individuals have been on these types of drugs. So either one, they're all being diagnosed and we're getting the right people into therapy because these people obviously need it and they're being treated, or these drugs are messing with their minds a little bit. And I can tell you from raising a couple boys that at various points in their life were on these types of drugs, that it was a nightmare when they were on them. It was a nightmare when they came off them, and it was much worse than even before. So I have my own sort of preconceived notions, but that's one of those things that the drug companies keep swearing up and down. It's absolutely not this, which makes me say, okay, let's get some Republicans and Democrats and some impartial medical people to look into this and see if, the correlation that I see if there's some causation behind that.
Well, because correlation is not necessarily causation.
Not necessarily, and that's why I'm freely admitting that. Even if it is 60, 70, 80% of the shooters are on these types of drugs, let's look into it.
But sometimes you can actually see on the so-called side effects, which are just effects. They're just not the ones they want to advertise.
Sure.
The so-called side effects sometimes include things like suicidal thoughts.
And homicidal thoughts and ideation and things like that. So I'd love to work. And that to me is such a nonpartisan thing to look at. You're not going to get anywhere if you just keep coming up and say, we're going to take all your guns. Because it's...
Yeah, exactly. And I believe that too, and I believe we got to start somewhere. We can't just start the discussion and then go after somebody for trying to be too liberal or trying to be too conservative. We all got to, because to me, what I think the pattern of this, it's like every month we have a different shooting, and that I just feel is unacceptable. And that's something that we got to do as a developed nation. We got to do something to change that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I appreciate where you're coming from, Sam, and it's not an easy issue to tackle. I thank you for the call tonight. There's so many different aspects to this. There's the medicines that you're talking about, the drugs. Obviously, a war on drugs isn't going to solve that, so that's
correct.
That's not going to go away. But what about the environment of these government schools? I mean, do they happen at private schools, the shootings? I'm not saying private schools are the best thing in the world, but
not with near the frequency.
So maybe the environment of these government schools where you're, as we talked about earlier, forcing young people into a place where they might be with other young people that they don't get along with. Now, now, you might argue that, well, that's good for socializing. People need to know what it's like to not get along with people. And, I get that. But at the same time, in the real world, once you get out of school, if you find yourself in a community or in a workplace or some other place where there's a bully or some sort of person who's threatening you or is taking advantage of you or whatever it is that they're doing to you that makes your life uncomfortable, makes you not want to go to work, makes you not want to get up in the morning or whatever, you're dreading going to this place.
Right.
You don't have to go there. You can go find work somewhere else. You can start your own business. You can do all kinds of other things. You can move to a different town entirely, whereas with the government schools, you are forced to be there. And of course, then you've got these zero tolerance rules against, defending yourself.
Right.
So if you put up a fight against the bully, then you get suspended too, along with the bully. I mean, there's just such a knot to untie here. It's just a mess.
Tell any parent listening who has their kids in a public school, please call me if you have never had your child say to you, I don't want to go there.
Right.
Just they had a bad day. They had a couple bad days. I don't want to see somebody. I don't want to deal with this situation.
Or it could be the teacher, too. It may not be a bully. It might be a bullying teacher, one that's, picking on the kid in the class, making them answer questions in front of the class where they're uncomfortable. Or there's all kinds of things that can happen with this power structure that exists at the government school. So, again, it comes back around to what we were discussing earlier. You aren't going to be able to change the government schools, even if what Sam called in about happens. People come to the table. They put their politics aside.
Right.
They really sit down and they get serious about talking about doing something here eventually. People have been frustrated by the government school system for decades.
Sure.
And they've decided, I want to do something about it. So they run for school board and they get in there and they try to change the system from the inside. And by the time they might get a chance of a scratch of a chance at changing a little bit of something, their kids are already grown up and they're out of the schools, because it takes that long to try to change these systems. So your best bet is to just get your kids out of the government schools. Homeschool, unschool, maybe private school, but it seems like homeschooling and unschooling do even better than the private schooling, and they're cheaper generally as well. So that seems to be the way to go, but everybody's different.
And I'll say there's a great book out there written by Ron Paul called The School Revolution. I encourage anybody who has parents who's frustrated by the public school system to pick it up, because he talks about the things that really matter to what most people are concerned with, which is the economics of doing this. Can we really afford to do it? Are the resources really there? Am I smart enough to teach another human being as well as the teachers can? And the answer to all these questions is yes, yes,
absolutely.
yes. But I understand it's a tough leap to make.
If not, there are other options in the marketplace.
Sure.
I don't have kids, but if I didn't want to do homeschool, unschool, I'd look at Sudbury education. I think that's one of the more interesting models.
I've never heard of that.
It's really interesting. It actually started, I believe, in Massachusetts, so it's in this area where we're doing the show from.
Mm-hmm.
And I met a couple guys years ago who went to one of these schools, and the way they described it was really interesting. Like, the students run the school. So
that'll never work.
Imagine this. So
this is my natural reaction, and of course it probably does work great.
You've got all these different age ranges too, so they put them all in together, so you don't have the stupid grade system or whatever.
Right.
You've got the the people who are 18 working with the ones who are 7 or whatever. You get the whole range, which means they can learn from each other. So there's that. But also, if they want to learn a thing, and the people who are already there don't know how to teach that thing, then they start auditioning people to come in, and the students are the ones who are in charge of hiring the teacher.
I love this.
What are you going to teach us that we don't already know? Sell yourself to us.
This is great.
Yeah, and so they hire the janitor. I mean, that kind of thing. Like they run the whole thing.
No kidding.
Pretty interesting stuff. So it's almost like an unschooling school,
big time,
if you will, because they set their own curriculum. Anyway, more coming up here. Hour 3 is on the way. This is Free Talk Live.
I tried other brands, but I came back to My Sunshine.
For the best hot or cold pain relief, get the best. Get a Sunny Bay heating pad.
Sometimes life can be a pain in the neck, or back, or shoulder.
And the best relief for that pain is a Sunny Bay heating pad. Did you know that the American College of Physicians said that one of the best ways to treat muscle pain is heat therapy? Sunny Bay heating pads are handmade with high quality, can be used at home or at work, and have a lifetime 100% positive rating on both Amazon and Etsy.
Why take another pill?
Many people use our Sunny Bay heating pads alone and got rid of the neck pain.
Long-distance travel or long hours in front of a computer can take its toll on your body.
Our homegrown small business tries to help people just like us. That's why we design and test our handmade products with great care before we introduce them to the public. You can easily find Sunny Bay heating pads on Amazon. Just go to Amazon.com and search for Sunny Bay heating pads.
When you hear the word lobbyist, you probably think about greedy corporations, but not all lobbyists are the same. Some are fighting for the freedoms you hold dear. Liberty Lobby LLC is doing just that in New Hampshire, working hard to represent you, not some special interest group. You can help by going to libertylobby.info, where your contribution will give us the tools we need to ensure that your voice is heard. Visit libertylobby.info today to find out more.
Did you know we've taken our LRN.FM telephone listen line to a new level with the LRN.FM audio on demand line? Now you can call 712-770-8447 anytime and listen to LRN.FM's live feed. And you can listen to a bunch of our original shows on demand. Long distance fees may apply. Just dial 712-770-8447 and choose from the menu. 712-770-8447.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 3 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Daryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Saturday, May 19th, 2018. Silver is trading at $16.45 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,293 per ounce. Zencash is trading at $28, and the average price of Bitcoin is $8,242. Antiwar.com reports Yemen's ambassador to UNESCO, Ahmad al-Sayyad, has given an interview to Al Jazeera in which he accused Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates of having a hidden inclination to divide Yemen in the future. The comments come amid growing concerns from the Hadi government, which is theoretically backed by Saudi Arabia and to a lesser extent by the UAE. Officials have expressed growing concern about the UAE for seizing airports and seaports, as well as briefly taking over the island of Socotra. The UAE has downplayed these incidents, but has been openly backing secessionist groups in southern Yemen. They are also known to have ambitions to be a regional power, particularly in the Gulf of Aden, which would be helped by them securing some permanent bases in southern Yemen. Saudi Arabia, meanwhile, seems particularly interested in the defeat of the Shiite Houthi movement in northern Yemen and of ensuring that there is no Shiite presence along their disputed border with Yemen. Though the Saudis nominally support the Hadi government, it is mostly as a way of justifying intervention in Yemen, and they've also felt totally comfortable keeping Hadi under a state of house arrest for months on end. Are you looking for a cryptocurrency that has a focus on users and usability? Then look into Zencash. Zencash has the ability to use both transparent and shielded transactions, with shielded transactions using zero-knowledge proofs. Zencash features global governance with inclusive decision-making, reliable funding for continuous improvements, and documentation and wallets in many languages that are available for Linux, Mac, Windows, and Android devices. Learn more at zencash.com. UPI reports in a blow to House Republican leadership, lawmakers defeated a $687 billion farm bill on Friday as some GOP conservatives sided with Democrats. The bill, supported by President Donald Trump and GOP congressional leaders, failed by a vote of 213 to 189. All Democrats voted against the bill, which included restricted requirements for recipients of food stamps under the Supplemental Nutrition Program. 30 conservative Republicans also voted the bill down, opposing the $70 billion cost of the SNAP program. The Conservative Freedom Caucus has also threatened to hold up a bill until security-oriented immigration issues are addressed. The food stamp program was added to the Farm Bill in the 1970s to persuade urban legislators to vote for a farming safety net, which is renegotiated and voted on every 5 years. House Freedom Caucus leader Mark Meadows said 76% of the Farm Bill has nothing to do with farms. When you look at it, 24% of it actually is about farming and supporting our farmers. For over 40 years, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has been a trusted source for buying and selling precious metals like gold and silver. And as a Bitcoin-preferred business, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has removed the minimum purchase amount for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts Brokerage today for knowledgeable advice on buying and selling precious metals and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 800-874-9760 or visit online at rrbi.co. Reuters reports Missouri legislators convened on Friday to weigh the possible impeachment of Governor Eric Greitens, who had been embroiled in separate sex and fundraising scandals that have led to mounting pressure for his resignation. The Republican-controlled Missouri General Assembly began a special session in Jefferson City, Missouri, the state capital, to consider what disciplinary steps to take against the first-term Republican governor, including impeachment, after hearing the recommendations of a special House of Representatives investigative panel. Greitens had vowed to remain in office while he fights to clear his name. same. No Missouri governor has ever been impeached. Greetens, once seen as a rising star in the Republican Party, was previously charged with felony invasion of privacy in connection with an admitted extramarital affair in 2015 with a hairdresser before he was elected. He says he is innocent. The relationship was consensual and that he is the subject of a political witch hunt. On Monday, however, St. Louis prosecutors dropped the charge before his trial got underway after a state judge agreed to allow the defense to call as a witness circuit attorney for the city of St. Louis, Kim Gardner, a Democrat whom defense attorneys accused of misconduct. Prosecutors said they would refile the case. Meanwhile, the governor faces a separate trial on an unrelated charge of computer tampering. St. Louis prosecutors allege he obtained and transmitted a donor list from a military veterans charity he founded in 2007 without the charity's consent to aid his political fundraising. An attorney for Greetens called the charge absurd and said his client is innocent. This has been FPP Radio News, online at fppradio.com.
A report on obesity rates released this week by the CDC confirmed that millions of courageous Americans continue to overcome the media's persistent pressure to be thin. Researchers told reporters that while the vast majority of film and television continues to portray thin, in-shape people, over 30% of Americans remain resolved in their effort to stand up to idealized images of men and women.
Every day, people are inundated with unvarying images of slim men and women, but millions of heroic Americans continue doing their best every day to maintain BMIs of 35 or higher. These people aren't afraid to fly in the face popular culture deems acceptable and bravely eat and drink whatever they want, whenever they want.
In other news, the nation's single men announce a plan to change their bed sheets by 2019. A woman who left the room crying earlier expects to jump back into the party just like that. And a courtroom artist is clearly infatuated with the bailiff. This 2.5-minute-long session of immersion therapy is finally complete. Your crippling fear of watching video news recaps should no longer be a problem. For more, keep checking theonion.com.
Free Talk Live. You can dial in toll free, bring up what you want. Our number is 855-450-FREE like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. The Skype username is lrn.fm. And also, we've got the Discord on-air call-in line room, which you can get into by going to discord.lrn.fm. Just hop into that top room there, and we'll join you and put you on the radio. You can talk about whatever you want. Joining you tonight, by the way, it's Ian.
And Chris.
To the phones, to the fun. If we get the chance, I mentioned this raw milk raid, and I do have that story pulled up. So if we get the chance, we'll tell you more about what happened there. Perfect example of how regulations kill small businesses and kill freedom. But first, we go to Sam in Indianapolis, listening to WIBC FM. Hello, Sam.
Hey, how are you?
Hey, great. Go ahead with your thoughts.
Okay, I wanted to, I apologize, I have some issues. I wanted to discuss a little more about the lack of diverse voices.
Okay, sure. We were talking, for those just tuning in the last hour, somebody else called up about, why is talk radio so one-sided, seemingly? We went through some of the reasons why, but please, go ahead.
The liberal market is a personal interest of mine. And I noticed that the tastes aren't really being expanded on very much. Now, reservations are really smart market sense. If you agree with me, you do. If you don't, I
reservations?
Don't mind.
Indian reservations?
Yeah, being but having a space, a comfort zone.
Okay, so in other words, the government reserving parts of the airways?
No, by no means.
Okay.
Having personal reservations about what you will or won't do.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Being conservative.
Okay.
Then again, grand innovation is a great idea. It is. But what I'm saying is that the conservative view isn't being spliced with the innovations, and the innovations don't often respect the conservative view either.
Can you give me an example of what you're talking about? Because I am completely lost.
Go ahead, please. Can you?
If I can.
It's okay. You're doing okay.
I'm a schizophrenic.
That's okay. But is it that you feel that innovations, like scientific innovations, aren't always accepted by conservatives, or when they conflict with conservative viewpoints that causes a clash?
Well, the example I was thinking of when I called was the talk radio.
Okay.
A lot of talk radio that I've heard attempts to emulate the format where of the opinionated talk.
Yep.
Right. Agreed.
Well, a lot of the viewpoints that I've been able to observe, having been an activist with Occupy, they were strongly attracted to being informed.
Okay.
They are not strongly attracted to opinion.
Gotcha. Okay. So it's an interesting point of view, and I think you're onto something.
So are you saying that you think that there should be a talk radio format that focuses less on opinion and more on delivering information?
I think so, yes.
Have you ever heard of news radio stations?
See, to me, when I think about what you're saying, I think about stations that have more philosophical discussions. For example, you can talk.
That's opinion, though. Philosophies are different.
True.
People have different philosophies.
Philosophies are different.
They are, but when I think of having a philosophical discussion here, it's more about why do we feel the way we do, not you should feel the way we do. You know what I mean? So we talk about libertarian. Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
What I don't see, though, is a Wall Street Journal of talk radio.
They actually had a radio division for a time, and I don't think they still do. I think they shut it down within the last few years, where they would do like call-ins. I know the local station here in Keene, New Hampshire, had some lady calling in, and she would, give the Wall Street Journal business report or something like that. It was something that they had different packages, different things that stations could kind of subscribe to and get. But they never really had like around-the-clock Wall Street Journal-esque coverage. It was just a segment in a show. And actually, when the Journal went under, or no, the Journal didn't go under, but the radio division got shut down, that same lady is still doing her same show, just with a different network. So that product still exists, but it's not a full show. It's not a full station. It's not 24/7. It's just a thing that you can put on another show. It's like a feature, basically. But I wanted to say, with regards to news radio stations, and then when I say that, I don't mean all of the stations that call themselves news radio. What I mean is the stations that just do news all around the clock, all day long. It's not an opinion show. They don't have a talk show host. They just have newsmen and newswomen doing reporting on the news all day, every day. Those stations only exist in the biggest marketplaces. They exist in New York City. They exist in Philadelphia. And I don't know where they all are, but there's only a few of them out there. And it's a very costly station to run because you have to have a whole large news staff, news gatherers and reporters and the on-air people who bring it all together, and the producers. So there's a lot more involved in running a full 24/7 news station than a typical talk station where you can kind of bring in syndicated hosts and not have to pay anybody.
But I think I agree with you to some extent if what I'm saying is correct, and is that when I listen to conservative talk radio, it's like, here's the conservative position and that's it. We're right, they're wrong. The left is just the opposite.
Yeah, right.
One of the things that attracted me to Free Talk Live, and I've been a listener, since 2012, 2013.
You're an amplifier.
I am an amplifier. I actually pay. I pay to make sure this thing continues.
Then we pay you.
And you pay me, so yeah. But one of the things I liked was it wasn't just, here's the libertarian point of view and we're right and you're wrong. It's that we discuss these things and we try to give examples of why this philosophy makes sense to us and why we think it might make sense to you. And that, to me, is how ideas are spread. And I if it would have just been, bashing both sides, I could turn into Rush, and I could turn into, tune into, an Alan Combe back in the day to hear that.
Sam, thanks for the call tonight. I appreciate the discussion. Yeah. When I started doing this show, when Free Talk Live began back in 2002 in Florida, I was, in my early 20s at that point, and they called us in after like the first week or two to have a discussion with the general manager, Big Jim Davis, who's like, this big booming radio voice, great guy.
Right.
And they gave us the rules of talk radio.
Oh.
These have been written down. Somebody has come up with the rules of talk radio. And I remember taking notes the whole time and just ignoring all the stuff I didn't like. And I took some of the advice on the things that I did like. So like whatever it was that resonated with me, that would be good. I went ahead and followed that rule. And most of them I threw in the garbage. But one of the rules of talk radio is you're never supposed to admit you were wrong.
Oh.
And we don't do that here on Free Talk Live. We've been wrong because we're human beings.
Right.
And it's almost a guarantee that we're going to be wrong about some things.
You bet.
Earlier tonight, you heard a caller call in and say, hey, when we were talking about women entering in the workforce, somebody called about that, and I made a statement, and the caller after that was like, well, you missed this point about that. And I said, you know what? You're right. I totally missed that.
We both did. And so that's part of the fun for me. I enjoy that back and forth.
Toll-free number here, 855-450, free like freedom. Open phones always here on Free Talk Live. Let's go to David. He's in Columbus, Indiana, listening to WIBC. Hello, David.
Hey, guys. Appreciate you taking me on.
Yeah, man. You're on here.
Hey, you guys talking about homeschooling and private school?
Sure.
Well, I figured I'd call in. Yeah, I've been a homeschooling father for 7 years now.
Nice.
Great. My son was 6 when we started. My daughter was 4.
Okay.
And we now have 6 kids. Hey, the beautiful thing, and I'm not here to throw a plug in for the group that we're with, but what's really cool about homeschooling is you get to be a part of your child's, experiences of learning.
Yeah, and you're not turning it over to some bureaucrats. Hang on a second. If you want to tell more, or hang on a moment, we'll bring you back because I want to hear more of your story, why you decided to go in that direction in the first place. So if you've got time, stick with us, David. We're going to bring you back on Free Talk Live.
What's more profitable, running your business or doing bookkeeping? Doing your business, of course, but you want to keep your books so that you can maximize your tax savings, right? What if I told you that there's a person that's a bookkeeper, accountant, and law school graduate that's also a hardcore libertarian?
My name is Melanie Johnson, and I hate the state. I will aggressively help you to minimize your tax exposure and maximize profits, all while staying within the law.
Melanie's your best choice for your taxes and bookkeeping needs. Go to tax.freetalklive.com and check out our website, tax.freetalklive.com.
The Bitcoin.com wallet is a simple and powerful, full-featured wallet that allows you to send and receive Bitcoin Cash and Bitcoin Core with anyone, anywhere in the world. It supports both single and multi-signature wallets and is available in multiple languages. The Bitcoin.com wallet is available on Windows, Linux, Mac, Android, and iOS devices. Learn more at wallet.bitcoin.com.
From the third letter of Captain Mark. The Crown's observation conditions us to be dishonest with ourselves. Therefore, constant surveillance produces a society of constant deception. Honest communication is the seed of civilized conduct. To deny us this seed is to deny us its fruits. But the Crown's primary objective is to stifle free thought itself, to make its subjects incapable of dissent. Seasoned pirates have always encrypted messages and codes and ciphers, so intercepted transmissions were incomprehensible. But today, the Crown possesses advanced tools of pattern recognition that document, profile, and predict our every move. Today, piracy requires hailing frequencies completely invisible to the Crown. We are tired of poltergeists in the static. Looking for a community of like-minded scoundrels, or just want some swag to let the Crown know what you think of it? Join the conversation at pirateswithoutborders.com.
Since time began, tyrants have taken aim at personal liberties. Now there's a movie that aims back.
The government has no more right to tell us what to put in our bodies than they have to take our guns or tell us what books we can read.
6 drug police were eaten by bears while raiding a marijuana farm.
On your knees, you dirty hippies! Jesus. On your knees! What's the problem, officer?
Today, many cops who enforce pot laws do so only because it provides them with cushy jobs, good benefits, and a chance to push people around.
I was an undercover narcotics officer. The drug war is nothing but a farce.
The Second Amendment says you gotta keep you and your gat intact.
Guns and Weed, The Road to Freedom. A film by Michael W. Dean and Nima Vadadi.
DVD available now at gunsandweed.com or on Amazon.
Hey!
That's gunsandweed.com. Makes the perfect gift. Remember, that's gunsandweed.com.
If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com. You can get emailed announcements and participate in contests via our email updates list. Plus, we have a Twitter account that you can follow and a Facebook page where you can become a fan. So visit news.freetalklive.com to get news about Free Talk Live as soon as it's announced and the way you want it delivered at news.freetalklive.com. That's news.freetalklive.com.
Hi, this is Mark Edge of Free Talk Live. Michael W. Dean's book, User's Manual for the Human Experience, changed my life. In a culture that attempts to turn you into a compliant victim, this book gives you implementable steps on everything from how to be aware of your environment, walking down the street, to business, to how to handle a toxic person in your life. If you're a human, you need to read this book at least once. Go to Amazon and get the Kindle version, or paperback, or an audiobook of A User's Manual for the Human Experience.
Do you love Twitter? Make sure you favorite the LRN.FM Twitter account so you can receive our tweets at twitter.lrn.fm. That's twitter.lrn.fm.
Yeah, it's Free Talk Live, the live Saturday edition of the program. As always, you're invited here to join us on the radio, where you can take control of the airwaves toll free at 855-450-FREE like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. Joining you tonight, it's Ian
and Chris.
If you want to reach people with the ideas of liberty, you can do it from the back of your car with libertystickers.com. You can reach thousands of people with a bumper sticker, and you know people love to read them. You can check out the vast selection of witty, poignant, pithy, and downright bombastic liberty-oriented messages available for you to put it on wherever you want. Doesn't have to be on your car. It could be on the back of your laptop, for instance, or your bicycle, or wherever. Go to libertystickers.com and you'll find those there. As we continue here, we're talking with David in Indiana, listening to WIBC. And David, you said you're a homeschooling dad and you've got several children. You started a couple of your kids out of the government school system, one at age 6. So what did he have, like a year or two in government school before you decided to get him out?
Well, actually, just to make the in-laws feel happy, we went to about a half-day school for the very first year in kindergarten, and that was too much for me in itself.
Gotcha.
And so you decided that you wanted to have control over curriculum. You wanted to have the ability to educate your own children rather than turning it over to the government.
Yeah, to me, it was a no-brainer. A lot of these people, they call in and they talk about all these issues, and you guys mentioned it earlier. It's like, guys, the solution is right there. Now, I will say this. Our family makes a big sacrifice to homeschool. Monetarily, our time, there is effort on our end that we have to put in.
Right,
and,
for sure.
And no doubt, it is a sacrifice. And a lot of these people are like, well, I just can't do it. Oh, I guarantee you can. You might have to live in a lot smaller house. You might not have to be able to do a lot of these things you want to do. You might have to pull someone from the workforce to stay at home with the kids. Those are, but it can be done if you want something bad enough.
Is sacrifice really the right word, though? Because sacrifice suggests that
I was thinking that too.
That you're destroying value in return for nothing, basically. And
I agree.
I think a better word is an investment. It's an investment in the future of your own kids.
Yeah, it's 100%. And I don't mean that at all in a negative connotation. But still, I don't want to pretend like there isn't something that you have to exchange for. And you're right. The investment and anything you invest in is going to cost you something.
Right.
Sure.
And definitely. But what I wanted to let you listeners know, there's some interesting things about not just the program we're in, but how schooling works in general. The program we're in, the lady actually was like a rocket scientist for NASA, and she went and searched the world and history and said, what was the best approach to teach kids? Like, what was the best system that she saw out there in the world that it has existed? And the one schoolroom approach was the best approach, to where all the kids at the same age are in the same room, and you're kind of regurgitating over information, but yet the higher ones take it to another level. It's a beautiful thing.
Wait a minute, you mean the kids of the same age or kids of different ages?
Of different ages.
Different ages. Okay, that's what I thought.
Yes.
So that's very similar to the Sudbury school that I was talking about earlier.
Yes, sir.
Where the kids, the students learn from one another rather than having to have some so-called expert coming in there.
Well, and even in the really early years of the Depression, and particularly out west where I'm from, I mean, there are a lot of small communities that had a one-room schoolhouse. And that was sort of the initial transition to the mess we have now. But it was at least to bring all the ages into one room, and that's how it was taught. You know, it's not
beautiful.
It's not a new idea.
No, it's not. It's not. And so she actually just took that and kind of expanded on it just a little bit. Another very interesting fact that your listeners will love is the brain works. The program we're with works with the brain of the child as they move forward. So the first early ages in a child's brain is nothing but memory. They're not taking anything and doing anything with it. They're not really understanding things. So a lot of times these public schools are just wasting their time trying to get kids to understand and to take it to kind of this dialectic phase. The first phase is just memorization. So we spend the first 4 years of just memorizing facts, just all kinds of different facts and just downloading. And as their brain develops naturally into this next phase of asking why, we have all those facts downloaded. And now we can take those things, and when we say, hey, why did this happen in 1850? Why did this happen in 1400? We know all these facts that surround that. And man, it's just a beautiful thing when it all comes together.
And you know, if somebody out there is listening to this and they're saying to themselves, "Well, that's a bunch of poppycock. This wouldn't work because that whatever." It's fine. They can have whatever opinion they want. The nice thing about homeschooling is you aren't forced to pay for what the homeschoolers in your area are doing.
Right.
For whatever curriculum they've decided is important, you're not part of it. You don't have to back it. You don't have to support it. If you disagree with it, you can educate your kids in the way you think is best. You can send them to the school that you think is going to do that.
Right.
Yeah.
And in fact, it's just the opposite. I'm the taxpayer who's paying for their kids to go to public school, and I get nothing out of it.
Yeah. Great call, David. Thanks for calling and sharing your story tonight. I appreciate it. The toll-free number here is 855-450-FREE like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. And that's something that would exist if we didn't have these one-size-fits-all government schools where, you know, the teachers have to teach down to the lowest common denominator in the class. They got to slow everybody down, you know, just to talk to the people who aren't getting it or whatever. And there's so many problems with that. And, of course, everybody's forced to pay for the government schools, whether they like them or not. And when you're forced to pay for something, don't be surprised when you get bad service, right? Because you're basically talking about a monopoly. Even though there are other choices.
Sure.
Students are forced to go to the government schools unless they've got something else to do.
Unless they have a viable alternative that the parents have taken the time to do. One of the things he said in there, which I found kind of fascinating, was, you know, talking about memorization and how they spend the first couple of years doing memorization.
Sounds awful to me.
It does. It does. And so I'm
not saying it doesn't work.
I had to do a quick Google just to see what comes up. So U.S. News and World Report, high school students need to think, not memorize. National Education Association, deeper learning, moving students beyond memorization. The Atlantic, when memorization gets in the way of learning. Psychology Today, is memorization bad for learning? I sit here and I go, it's like everybody I read there is sort of very much about the traditional model of education. So maybe this idea that just let kids memorize things for a couple of years might not be a bad idea. But that's the thing about homeschooling. He can try it. If they get great results, maybe they'll tell a friend.
And maybe not every system works great for every kid, right? Like there's different
very
people.
True.
Sort of like the same diets don't work for the same people. Maybe the same styles of education don't work for the same kids. And so once again, forcing them all into this one-size-fits-all government system is just it's so much waste. It's so much wasted potential.
Yep.
Let's continue here. Matthew is on the line, and I'm not sure where you are, Matthew. Where are you calling from tonight?
Metairie, Louisiana.
All right. You're on the air. Go ahead.
Okay. I believe we were discussing something last week about policing, and one of the arguments I would make about people who claim that they love the police is, then why are you trying to make them do the impossible? If you really love the police, then you should be advocating for fewer and fewer laws, especially those involving victimless crimes.
Let's talk about that. Hang on. Hold that thought, Matthew. I think you're onto something there. Definitely want to hear more about it, so stand by. We'll bring you back for it. The toll-free number here, 855-450-FREE like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. If you're advocating for the police, then you should advocate to make fewer laws. I think he's onto something.
I like it.
It's Free Talk Live.
If you or anyone you love has been diagnosed with lung cancer, asbestosis, or mesothelioma, your diagnosis may be the result of job-related exposure to asbestos, and you may be entitled to compensation. Call Capital Legal Group now at 800-400-LUNG. Law firms have successfully recovered over $2.7 billion for their clients in all 50 states. If you or a family member were diagnosed with lung cancer, asbestosis, or mesothelioma, visit 800-400-LUNG.com or call 800-400-LUNG. That's 800-400-LUNG.
Hunters, anglers, campers, and survivalists. Get back to nature. Expand your horizons with the highest quality, most versatile, unique slingshots and sling bows on the market at slingbow.com. Slingbow products are compact and models start from just $17.98. They're perfect for your bug-out bag or storing in your vehicle. Give yourself and your loved ones the excitement and tradition of slingbow, a new frontier in archery and truly modern twist on this primitive survival tool. Feel the thrill only at slingbow.com.
Hey guys, Mark Claire here, lionsofliberty.com, where we strive to advance the ideas of liberty daily. We bring you the Morning Roar. That's right, every Monday to Friday we'll have a brand new edition of the Morning Roar, where we provide a roundup of some news stories that you may not find in the mainstream media or even in your typical social media newsfeed. We find stories that relate to the ideas of liberty and provide you with our liberty perspective on them. Every Monday, we have our longest-running feature, Mondays with Murray, named after the great libertarian Murray Rothbard, where we'll examine an article or an excerpt from his works and help convey his view, along with our little spin as well. We wrap it all up every Friday with Felony Friday, where our own John Odermatt goes out and takes a look at some sort of felony. There's felonies committed every day, you know, whether it's a felony committed by the police, a politician, or even an average citizen. You can find all of this and so much more over at lionsofliberty.com. Advancing the ideas of liberty daily.
How many lawyers does it take to change a light bulb? None. They'd rather keep their clients in the dark. There are too many lawyer jokes to count. However, there are some lawyers with more noble intentions. At the Institute for Justice, we bring the light to our clients. We are a non-profit public interest law firm with clear values and principles. At IJ, we fight for those whose most basic rights are denied by the government. Visit our website today at ij.org.
Some of you asked, and now we've delivered. LRN.FM's live Keene, New Hampshire studio shows are now streamed in HD on Twitch. Visit our channel at twitch.lrn.fm and give it a follow. If you have Amazon Prime, you get one free subscription on Twitch. If you use it on our channel, Twitch will give LRN.FM a monthly piece of your Prime subscription cost. So please watch, follow, share, and subscribe to twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm. Why did you move to the Shire?
I moved here to the Shire because there's other people around who take liberty just as seriously as I do.
I moved to the Shire because I saw videos of people challenging authority and thought that I could get support myself. It called to me, like, do this right now.
I wanted to be around people like me who got it. And once I got here, I knew there was nowhere else that I wanted to be.
I've always wanted to change the world. So I moved to the Shire to join people who were actually working towards doing the same thing.
The people here are awesome, loving, and positive. It was for the adventure and for the feeling of something important is happening here. And I just wanted to come to sort of be part of that.
Visit ShireSociety.com to read and sign the Shire Society Declaration and learn the reasons why, if you love liberty, you should immigrate to the Shire. Plus, add yourself to the Shire map at ShireSociety.com. That's ShireSociety.com.
You can put the Liberty Radio Network on the air in your area. Visit broadcast.lrn.fm to learn how. Broadcast.lrn.fm.
Hey, it's Free Talk Live. You can dial in toll free. You can join us here. Our number 855-450-FREE like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. And our Skype username here is LRN.FM. We've also got Discord. The Discord on-air call-in line room is available to you over at discord.lrn.fm. Also in the Discord, other channels in which you can have discussions with other Free Talk Live listeners and some of the hosts. Go to discord.lrn.fm. You'll find it there. There's a web version. There's apps you can download for Discord, and you can get in there and talk to other listeners any old time. There's people in there sometimes around the clock.
Pretty much.
Certainly during our show, there's usually activity, and during some of the other shows on LRN.FM, you'll find folks in there. And different topics, different rooms to discuss different things. So everything from cryptocurrency to Forkfest, the upcoming Liberty Festival, a camping festival that is decentralized. And what that means is nobody is in charge. There's no organizer. There's no board of directors. There's no tickets to buy. It's just 5 days in the beautiful White Mountains of New Hampshire at Rogers Campground. Just an incredibly splendid location. I mean, it's absolutely beautiful to be there. You don't want to miss this.
Yep.
Just for the view. But also to hang out with all the great libertarians and anarchists and voluntarists who are going to be there. We don't know who they are, but some of them have identified themselves in the Forkfest forum and the Forkfest chat rooms, which are available over at forkfest.party, which is an unofficial website because, again, nothing's official when it comes to Forkfest, not even the name. So forkfest.party is where you can go to learn more. It's coming up June 14th through the 18th. That is less than a month from today. So 4 weeks from today, we will be broadcasting Free Talk Live from Forkfest. It is year number 2 for this event, so it's brand new. I mean, you're getting in on the ground floor if you're coming in this year. Last year, it wasn't really even promoted at all in advance. This year, we've been doing a lot of promotion of it in advance, not just on this show, but Dave Ridley from RidleyReport.com, The Call to Freedom with Will Coley, and some other venues have been promoting it. So I think we're going to see an increased turnout this year. In fact, some folks have said they're going to be vending. So there's discussions on the Forkfest forums about some of the activities that are going on. There's actually 2 competing calendars now as far as what's happening at Forkfest. So the market is deciding what's going to occur, and you are the market in this case, so you get to decide what to do there. You just want to hang out and camp with other Liberty people? That's cool. Or maybe you want to create a thing for those other people who are camping to do.
Right.
You can do that too. So it's all up to you. Forkfest.party. We'll see you there coming up in 4 weeks. It's June 14th through the 18th as we go back to Matthew. He's in Louisiana. And Matthew, you'd called with an idea about the police and people who say they support the police. Can you kind of recap what you were saying there? Because we were running right into one of our breaks as you were saying it. So what were you trying to
Sure. Yeah. I'll go ahead and recap, but I would also like to thank Chris at the end of this call for support of the Second Amendment and my idea of how to improve the Second Amendment. But
and do me a favor before you go on. I'm sorry to interrupt you. Back off your phone. Back off your phone like maybe an inch or so, because you're just a little bit.
Okay, is that better?
Yes.
Yeah, I think it's a little better. Go ahead.
All right, I'll try to keep it at this distance.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
The people who say that they love the police should be more interested in making sure that their duties are not so overwhelming that we're always asking them to do the impossible. Expecting the police to correct all societal ills, including harm that people may do to themselves, it's stupid. It causes them to wind up getting into violent confrontation with the very citizenry that they are supposed to be, quote unquote, protecting, when in fact all they're doing is they're enforcing laws. And it doesn't seem as our legislatures around the country or in Washington, D.C. are interested in repealing any of these. They seem to be only interested in adding.
Yep.
And so if you love the police, you should stop advocating for the enforcement of victimless crimes or crimes where the victim is the person themselves. Like, it may be illegal to beat yourself in the head with a hammer. How are the police supposed to stop that? Ban all hammers.
Yeah, I look at if people are concerned for police lives, and I believe all lives are sacred. if you are concerned with the lives of police, don't ask them to go raid drug houses filled with cash and filled with people.
Right, somebody's going to get shot.
Somebody is going to get shot. And when you look at the number of police that are killed in the line of duty, how many of those are due to the war on drugs? So here we have this. It's not even just a law; it's a policy.
Number, and not to mention the psychological damage it does to the policeman himself. Because shooting somebody, even a military soldier. Look at the number of our soldiers who come back with PTSD.
PTSD.
It's not something that people are born to do. Someday I'll tell you the story of my grandfather, who was a conscious objector in World War II. But now I'd like to thank Chris for his advocacy of the Second Amendment, and I'd like to throw in my ideas for improvements.
Okay.
Imagine, Chris, that you can own an Abrams tank.
I think I should be able to.
I think you should too.
Sure.
Mark likes boats. Why not an aircraft carrier?
Well, whether we can afford them, that becomes a second question.
Well, you get a club together. It's like
the aircraft carrier club. There you go.
No, I think the right to bear arms. Go ahead.
A B-52, get a B-52 club together. You can have your own B-52.
I tend to be kind of practical, so there are certain things that I would love to see in a prepper or zombie situation. I'd like to have RPGs, rocket-propelled grenades. That's a great way to take out a large. What's that?
Is it illegal to have one of those?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I can't have one of those.
Actually, it's not technically illegal, but the NSA kind of, the ATF kind of wants to know a lot about you.
Yeah. Okay. So you got to jump through a bunch of hoops.
Sure. Yeah.
Right.
And taxes.
Maybe some hoops was my idea too. Like, if you get the Abrams tank, you should let local law enforcement know, and then you should always agree to wear the parade tracks when taking it out. But in the event that the local law enforcement has a really bad problem, it's like an actual foreign invasion, they should kind of contact you and say, "Hey, that Abrams tank?
Yeah.
Can you show up with it?"
Well, the Revolutionary War. That
they
was
have that with militias without the tanks, but
well, yeah. But during the Revolutionary War, when
cannons.
Go ahead.
The Revolutionaries actually did have some cannons.
They had a lot.
More.
Most of the cannons that were used in fighting the British were privately owned cannons, and that's an idea. And I will say, New Hampshire, on any holiday, you'll hear cannon fire left and right. No, they're not firing anything.
firing blanks.
They are firing blanks. But that's still very much a tradition. You can hear them on mountaintops all over you get out in the country.
Matthew, thank you for the call tonight. Definitely appreciate where he was coming from with that. Because, and we've had another caller call in with sort of a similar point, but he delivers it in a much more brutal way, where he'll give an example of some cop being killed in one of these home invasions, which I'm sorry, that's what the police are doing. They're invading people's homes. And sometimes the cops are invading the homes of even people who didn't have anything to do with drugs. They get the wrong house number. Or they get the right number, but they got the wrong house on that piece of property. They raided the guest house instead of the main house, or vice versa, or whatever. And then, a lot of the times when they go into these homes, even if they're innocent people in there, the innocent people are getting woken up at 4 a.m. They don't know what's going on. They're hearing pounding on their door. They're hearing shouting. They grab the shotgun, rack that thing, and they blast themselves a cop. They didn't even know it was a cop. They figured it was a regular home invader.
A great case of that happened down in Texas, where the man was eventually found innocent of manslaughter because they charged him for killing the cop who was coming in the wrong door on a drug raid.
Wow. And it happens so many times, so many of these raids. Just destroying people's property, destroying their lives, and ultimately all of our freedom, because it could happen to you. It's Free Talk Live.
What's more profitable, running your business or doing bookkeeping? Doing your business, of course, but you want to keep your books so that you can maximize your tax savings, right? What if I told you that there's a person that's a bookkeeper, accountant, and law school graduate that's also a hardcore libertarian?
My name is Melanie Johnson, and I hate the state. I will aggressively help you to minimize your tax exposure and maximize profits, all while staying within the law.
Melanie's your best choice for your taxes and bookkeeping needs. Go to tax.freetalklive.com and check out our website, tax.freetalklive.com.
The Bitcoin.com wallet is a simple and powerful, full-featured wallet that allows you to send and receive Bitcoin Cash and Bitcoin Core with anyone, anywhere in the world. It supports both single and multi-signature wallets and is available in multiple languages. Use the Bitcoin.com wallet to buy, send, store, and receive both Bitcoin Cash and Bitcoin Core. Learn more at wallet.bitcoin.com.
Aging is one thing that affects everyone. George has talked about the power of stem cells for years. Now, there's a new serum that harnesses that stem cell power to bring back your youthful look. Beverly Hills doctor Nathan Newman.
Stem cells are basically our fountain of youth. This is what maintains our body's reparative, regenerative abilities. As we age, every cell breaks down and needs to be replaced, and what replaces it is the stem cell.
Dr. Newman and Janess have developed Lumin-S. Lumin-S takes the science of stem cells, using the same growth factor complex that literally heals our cells, slowing the appearance of the aging process. Apply Lumin-S twice daily, and on average, see results in a week. Learn more, watch our video, and order today at a special Coast website, healthylooking.com. Plus, there's a 30-day money-back guarantee. Again, that's healthylooking.com. Lumin-S, for a healthier, much younger, better-looking you. Buy now at healthylooking.com.
So the protection of life, liberty, and property is what the Free State Project is all about. But it's an effort to move 20,000 people who understand.
It's about demonstrating to the entire country
that, yeah, we can have a free market, a truly free market.
Making it just a freer, great place to live.
It's the world's largest voluntarist libertarian community, and it's only getting bigger.
That's amazing, to be able to move to a place where other people passionately believe in being free and independent.
What the Free State Project is managing to do, though, is to put their money where their mouth is. It's physically getting up across the country and saying, let's go someplace and let's demonstrate the power of these ideas. There's a lot of kind of philosophy that surrounds liberty. There's a lot of thinking about it and talking about it. But here in New Hampshire, people are doing it.
101 Reasons Liberty Lives in New Hampshire, a documentary by Free State Project Early Movers. Watch it free at 101reasonsfilm.com. 101reasonsfilm.com.
Here's a chance to do a little activism while you're cruising Facebook, Twitter, or Google+. Between the LOL cats, the recipes, the hot girls, and the inspirational sunrise memes, Free Talk Live's posts pass by your newsfeed. Like them, comment. It gives us more exposure. If you don't see our posts, click like at facebook.freetalklive.com and then hover over it to click Get Notifications. It's an easy way to spread the ideas of liberty a bit further. I know you're busy, but you can spare that 1/10 of a calorie it takes to click on something. Facebook.freetalklive.com. Radio is the most personal of mediums. I exist right now in your head. If you listen to Free Talk Live regularly, you know me. Free Talk Live is on more than 160 radio stations around the U.S. and has been downloaded on every continent around the world. Hundreds of thousands of listeners with ad packages from $600 a month to $6,000 a month. Imagine what we can do for your business, project, website, or idea. Email me, mark@freetalklive.com.
Help get LRN.FM into more ears. Visit promote.lrn.fm for a free bumper sticker, flyers, banners, graphics, and more. Promote.lrn.fm.
It is Free Talk Live. Moments remain here on this live Saturday edition of the program. Of course, you can take control of the airwaves. The toll-free number, if you want to jump in here in the remaining moments, is 855-450-FREE, like freedom, 855-450-3733. Joining you tonight, it's Ian.
And Chris.
Don't forget, if you like what we do here on Free Talk Live, you can support the show by becoming a Free Talk Live amplifier. As we mentioned to you earlier, our features on the website, like the webcam or the archives, and the chat rooms that we have, all that stuff's free. So you can just go there and enjoy it. And if you really appreciate the work that we do here, then you can join the other amplifiers. And there's only about 200 of them, so it's a relatively small community. And I appreciate every single one of them coming on board for $5 a month. Or if you feel really generous, you can do more than that. It's up to you. But you get some perks. You get some access to special things like the AMP-only call-in lines, the AMP-only Facebook group, the AMP-only chat rooms on our Discord server, and the AMP-only podcast, which doesn't have the regular commercials our normal podcast does. You get all of that and more. Go over to amp.freetalklive.com. and you can learn more about the program. It's money that we invest into the show so we can get on more radio stations, bring new internet listeners on board, and expose new people to the ideas of freedom. So if you value what we do, that's one of the ways that you can get behind the show, and we sure do appreciate it. And again, hope you appreciate everything that we do. Go over to amp.freetalklive.com to get signed up there. You can use PayPal. You can use your credit card. You can use Bitcoin Core. Actually, had a couple Bitcoin Core signups this week, which it's very rare that people want to spend their Bitcoin, because people don't want to spend their cryptocurrency. If you've got a choice between dollars and Bitcoin, most people are going to spend their dollars.
Have my dollars.
But we did have a few folks, a couple people sign up with Bitcoin this week, so that's cool. Head over to amp.freetalklive.com. So we go to Joe in Grand Rapids, listening to WTKG. Go ahead, Joe.
Yeah, hello?
Hey, you're on the air.
Hey, I'm just calling in response to this last guy that called about the police.
Sure.
Putting all this responsibility on them. Yeah, you know, they write too many laws. They make everything illegal.
The government,
I mean, you have to be looking in your rear view mirror if you get pulled over. If you're on the side of the road changing a tire, a cop pulls over, first thing he wants to do is see your license and registration.
Right.
You know, they're just digging for a crime.
Right. They want to catch you at something. They're not there to serve you.
Yeah, exactly. And it's all because it's jail, prison for profit. There's a lot of money in it.
There certainly is.
And the government's too big. They need to step off.
The sad thing is, having been
there is this fascist leftist state that has got a big hammer, and Trump's trying to take it away from them, and that's why they want to hit him with it, you know?
You still believe that Trump's trying to take it away from him? I mean, I haven't seen Trump get up there on any kind of national podium and say, I am announcing an end to the war on drugs. I will order my executive branch to never...
I'll tell you what. No. He's got his hands full with them hamstringing him with all this conspiracy crap.
I don't believe that. I don't buy that. Trump has a huge, and thanks for the call, Joe. I appreciate it. Trump has a huge platform.
Sure.
Anytime he can call a press conference, and if he's too busy, he can have one of his people call a press conference. And he can have one of his people write a speech for that press conference. So, like, to say that he can't do it because he's just so busy being tied up with all the other stuff, the investigations or whatever. If Trump wanted to end the war on drugs, he could do it tomorrow.
Yeah.
He could. He's the head of the executive branch. The DEA is the executive branch.
Right.
Trump could go. He doesn't have to have Congress remove the drug schedules. Trump could just go tomorrow and say, head of the DEA, you're no longer enforcing the war on drugs. You guys can just push papers around or whatever it is you do.
Right.
I can't abolish you, but I'm telling you to stop enforcing the war on drugs. This has been an insane war on our people. And I, as somebody who's worked in Las Vegas and in Hollywood, I've known plenty of drug users. They've been my hairstylists. They've been my producers, my actors, and they are responsible people and they are not criminals. And we just need to end this war on drugs. And that would be a huge burden off of all these police all around the country.
It would.
We've seen that it's working in the war against marijuana, where they've legalized marijuana in some of these several states now, up to I think eight different states, and the world hasn't ended.
And the District of Columbia,
even right there in D.C.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. So if he wanted to, he could do that. So to act like he's in there, he's doing his best to roll. No, I don't buy it. It's been 2 years now.
Yeah, and it doesn't really take that long to say something like that.
No, it doesn't.
And
Barack Obama finally came out against at least the war on marijuana,
Right.
but he waited until the last semester of his presidency to say those things.
It's still a hot topic, and Trump is thinking politically. He knows that there's going to be a certain segment of what he perceives as his base is not going to be happy if he comes out and says that.
Yep.
So he's not going to say that right now, and that's why
Instead, he brings Jeff Sessions in there, who is at the very least an ardent drug warrior.
Well, true, and I was going to say he wouldn't just come out and write a speech. He'd just tweet it.
Good enough.
That would be it. Tweet.
End war on drugs, period.
Exactly. It's bad! Exclamation point.
He's tweeting all day long. He's got plenty of time for saying things. That's
Right.
one of the things he's good at, is saying things and being entertaining.
Right.
You know?
Entertain us, please.
Yeah, let's go to Bad Slave. He's on the line in New Hampshire on Skype. Go ahead, Bad Slave.
Thanks for taking my call.
Yes, sir.
I want to talk about accountability.
All right.
That applies to the cops, too. So, I mean, it applies to Donald Trump. It used to apply to Obama, although Obama seems like he wants to get back in there somehow. I don't know exactly what's going on, but I'm reading and learning some stuff that from CIA operatives and all this stuff that even he's trying to get his fingers back into the pie somehow. But the pie is the problem. The pie is huge. Government, corporations are part of the problem. They're the privilege, the federal privilege of limited liability, allows companies to get way too big, and the idea of huge mega corporations that basically can manipulate through their lobbyists the laws and regulations to basically protect their the competition, or protect them from their
competition. Yeah.
Exactly. If that's what they're doing, then all bets are off. I mean, in effect, the drug war was about that. You know that, right?
Sure.
That the drug war, the marijuana war, even
the war on
booze.
marijuana was led primarily by industrialists who had the Congress people in their pockets. Basically, William Randolph Hearst, of course, had investments in trees, in forestry, and he didn't have investments in cannabis, in hemp, and he saw hemp as a threat, and rightly so. They grow a lot faster than trees. And you can harvest them and, grow them again real fast and make paper, just out of that.
All the studying that I have done is, the idea of corporation at the beginnings of America, when they passed the Constitution and put in their whatever there was on the Constitution. For corporations, there was, in fact, it was originally designed to only apply to public projects, and they were sunsetted.
Oh, I see what you're saying. The idea of a corporation was supposed to be for like building a road.
Gotcha.
That kind of thing.
Yeah, for those bigger projects that would be temporary and be taken on, by some entity that would call itself a corporation, and then it would do its job, build the road or the bridge or the, whatever the, public good was.
So what you're saying was that time, like the general store was just a store run by people. It wasn't a corporation. It wasn't a legal fiction.
No, the idea that every little company, every little, S corporation is supposed to have limited liability was crazy.
Right.
That was never ever meant to be part of the game.
Bad Slave, thanks for the call, man. I appreciate it. The toll-free number. Oh wait, we're out of time. What am I saying? Chris, thanks for joining
for tomorrow. Thank you.
I appreciate it. And we
It's always
will be
good.
here tomorrow. Free Talk Live will. You and I won't though, Chris, because other dudes will be hosting the show tomorrow night.
You got
it. And you can join us all in the meantime. meantime, online over at freetalklive.com. You enjoy your weekend, and we'll see you soon.
Are you making sense to the boomer mindset? I'm Holland Cook from survivalspeech.com. 80 million baby boomers comprise 25% of the population and control most of the USA's wealth. As aging parents pass on, they'll control more. Boomers are 46 to 65 years old and regard themselves as midlife. They identify as neither young nor old. They're post-minivan and pre-retirement, and they don't like being called boomers. They think me. Many of the purchases boomer couples make are individual purposes. They've been experimenters all their lives. If you want their attention, tell stories and keep it simple. If something seems complicated, boomers can dismiss it as, I don't need this. And if you're looking for work, you may be applying to a boomer, so relate accordingly. From survivalspeech.com, I'm Holland Cook.
This Your Family Today tip is brought to you by Nestle Toll House Morsels, helping you create special moments and memories your family will cherish forever. Visit us at tollhouse.com. You may bake for birthdays and holidays, but why stop there? Sweeten up the rest of the year by designating monthly dessert days. Treat your family to one of their favorites or surprise them with something new. Either way, you'll create a tradition everyone will love. For more tips like these, visit us at parenthood.com/yourfamilytoday.
So you've heard all 3 hours of the latest episode of Free Talk Live, and you're still hungry for liberty-oriented audio content? Did you know that we have another 24/7 audio stream at LRN.FM? The Liberty Radio Network airs the latest episodes of some of the best liberty-oriented podcasts on the internet around the clock. In addition to recorded content, you'll also hear live shows like Free Talk Live, originating from our Keene, New Hampshire studio. So listen anytime at LRN.FM. That's LRN.FM.
Questioning Authority is coming up next, live after the news on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Daryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Saturday, May 19th, 2018. Silver is trading at $16.45 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,293 per ounce. Zen Cash is trading at $28, and the average price of Bitcoin is $8,200.